Hi everybody. This YouTube is about meditation. Meditation is very, very important. It's one of the 5 master keys to naturally healing. And we therefore highlight this on our website, Raw Wisdom, which tries to give many tools to turn around the conditions of our body, of our mind and spirit that ail us so that we can become whole, healed, reach our highest potential. Healing our consciousness, which can be done through meditation, is really centrally important. There is a way of understanding what is consciousness that is very helpful in guiding how we meditate. Let me start by saying that consciousness manifests in us in many different layers. And first, we sense ourselves as being physical. We can touch any part of our body, and it appears to be that we have an arm and a hand and a leg and so on and so forth, and that we are made of these parts, like a machine is made out of parts. But actually, all that we really experience is our consciousness of our bodies. And so, if we are going to heal that consciousness, and that consciousness as seen as the real depth essence of who we are, and not just the surface, physical experience of ourselves, it's important to know what consciousness is. And what is this consciousness? Well, philosophers have been fighting over this issue almost for centuries. They've been delving into it. They've been trying to find the right means and methods of getting to the core of what is consciousness. And I'll tell you what I feel and think and have experienced over half a century as being the essence of consciousness, that it forms a relationship of connection universally in ourselves and to the world around us. Universal is a very big term. It means it connects everything inside of us to our own wholeness, as we are a microcosmic, we are in this web of micro cosmic web where we represent really in ourselves and in how we are constructed the essence of the rest of the universe. And in my experience, that universe has a oneness, and so we gravitate in our healing toward our own inner oneness. And through the medium of consciousness, where consciousness forms the universal relationship of connection to make that oneness possible. Therefore, consciousness is very important. Now, how do we heal that consciousness? Well, it's the key to understanding that is through the knowing that there is a split in that very same consciousness. The consciousness moves both away from its own essence and to its own essence. And this is how we manifest a right brain and a left brain. The right brain tends to be in a connective consciousness mode, the left brain in a separative consciousness mode. The highest paradigm of the left brain is mathematics, abstractions of how to precisely separate elements of consciousness. The right brain sees the world more fluidly, more connectively. Now, applying this knowing of consciousness and of its split, we want to veer to the connective side in every manner possible and with greatest depth in order to really heal that consciousness, in order to return it to its own integral essence, in order to raise our consciousness, in order to have a higher level of consciousness. And so, let us apply this divide, first emotionally. And so, love is a connective emotion. Hate and fear are separative emotions that drive us away from others, and literally with fear we run away, and with hate we may run towards someone, but in an opposing, not in a connective way, in a violently oppositional way. And so as love and hate are opposites in terms of this divide, connective and separative, so some states of mind can be connective and separative. We can be constantly in confusion, in conflict, or we can be in a sense of, we can be in the presence of a sense of harmony, of connectivity, of a sense of oneness, of balance, of ease. And so in the whole practice that we're about to engage in of consciousness healing, which is really the purpose of meditation, we're going to veer toward that connective side. And we can take some clues from naturopathy about how to do this, because in naturopathy, healing tends to come about with a reversal of the pathway in which disease first began. And so in the early stages of disease you have irritation, you may have inflammation, itching, redness, fever, and with that a stressing out of the inner consciousness. And then in later stages you have manifestations such as burnouts, unconsciousness, lack of awareness. And this is what sometimes makes conditions like metastatic cancer so scary, is because cancer could be spreading throughout your body and you're not even aware of it. But actually this is part of the natural course, in which in the early stages of illness, of consciousness illness, there is a heightened state of awareness, and later there is a lessened state of awareness. And so we want to reverse this process. Also in later stages of illness there tends to be a hardening very often, such as tumor growths, so that things become hard rather than soft and pliable and full of the original consciousness in which they evolved. They become like a rock, like an unconscious mechanical something in a machine, a hard piece of steel. And so we want to reverse this process, and all of the techniques that we're about to go over really follow this philosophy. Now, there are certain steps, and the first step we're going to start with is to choose a place for meditation that's conducive. It should be quiet, peaceful, and you can create a space that has works of art, that has the curtains drawn, where you really feel at ease, and that's going to be specific to each person, what really makes them feel most calm and ease. And you can be lying down or sitting up. Maybe you have a special chair that you feel comfortable in. It really is up to each individual's inclination and intuition. Next, you want to pick a time that's conducive to your schedule, and this can be early in the morning, late at night, in the middle of the day, sometime where you can let go of the affairs of the day and just enter this peaceful, calm, let go kind of state. Bear in mind that in our Western worldview, there is no great emphasis on healing our consciousness. We may want to heal the body, we may want to heal our emotions, we may want to go to a psychologist and heal the conflicts in our mind, but there's no real emphasis on healing our consciousness. It wasn't until about the 1960s, with increased communications and transportations, that Oriental influences came to the West en masse, and this concept of the importance of meditation began to flood our culture. But the sense of the healing of consciousness being primary is not something we're really focused on in the West. And yet, what happens is that if you can heal your consciousness, the body very often follows. And so these techniques that I'm about to give you are really very, very important. And I would recommend them for daily practice.